why have you pursued a career as an educator for so far your entire working life, really?
I mean, like anything, when you find something that you feel like you're successful in, it kind of draws you in, and you're more likely. But I did actually have something of a crossroads in my career when it came to the end of the pandemic. So I mentioned that I was working for Disney English, and early in the pandemic, they were one of the first companies to kind of close. That industry's kind of like started to disappear since then. But by that point, I wasn't an educator anymore. I was a manager, but the people I was managing were also managers. You were one of them at one point.
The managed managers.
Yeah. So, but it was like Disney as a huge multinational corporation. I was working in the corporate world, and at that point, it was okay. Like, do I want to stay in China and continue working? Do I want to move back to the UK? Because my career is at a crossroads, I do have an option now.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier about being like adaptable, making the choice. I was aware that if I went back to the UK, it would probably be out of education. I wouldn't want to work in education in the UK. I'd probably go maybe into L&D or something like that in a corporate job back home.
Yeah.
But if I'm staying in China, I would like to stay in education. So I moved into the school system rather than the training center. So yeah, that was the fork I was at, and yeah, I chose to stay.
So you actually got to see Alex's stand-up recently.
Oh, God.
I did indeed.
So we don't need the official position about how masterful she is at her
You're on
talents.
my show, so you have to say nice things.
So what was that like? What was that experience like of seeing one of our hosts in person?
She was genuinely great. And like one of the things that I'm really impressed with local comedians, comedy above all other things, your word choice is so important. You really need to focus on the words. It's like, it's hard to do that in your native language. To do that in a second language is just incredible. So like, sometimes I kind of lose myself in shows where like I find like, oh, she's doing this in a second language, and but I didn't find myself doing that with your show. I was still thinking about your performance. So I wasn't thinking about like technicalities of what you're doing. So kind of that's a boon for you that like you didn't lose me to go off into my head.
Well, thank you. I guess my method of English works.